Today we'll be reading an article that's titled The Culture of Thin Bites. As you read, you'll be required to annotate by circling and defining unknown words, making connections, asking questions, and writing summaries in the margins. Also, consider and analyze as you read how this article might connect to Disney and the body image statistics that we have already researched. The reading today is about a place called Fiji. This place is near Australia. It's a series of islands that are very secluded. In this image, you see what I mean by secluded. Fiji is all by itself. It's very hard to get to, and its culture has sort of been developed in isolation. As you'll see, the article is titled The Culture of Thin Bites Fiji. This article was published in 1999 in a newspaper called the Orlando Sentinel. Remember to annotate as I begin reading. First of all, imagine a place women greet each other at the market with open arms, loving smiles, and a cheerful exchange of ritual compliments. You look wonderful. You've put on weight. Does that seem like dialogue for Fat Fantasyland or a skit from Fat is a Feminist Issue satire? Well, this Western fantasy was a South Pacific fact of life. Fiji is located in the South Pacific. That's what it's called. In Fiji, before 1995, big was beautiful, and bigger was more beautiful. And people really did flatter each other with exclamations about weight gain. In this island paradise, food was not only love, it was culturally important. Eating and overeating were rites of mutual hospitality. Everyone worried about losing weight, but not the main way we do. Going thin was considered to be a sign of some social problem, a worrisome indication that the person wasn't getting enough to eat. The Fijians were, to be sure, a bit obsessed with food. They prescribed herbs to stimulate the appetite. They were a reverse image of our culture. And that turns out to be the point. Something happened in 1995. A Western mirror was shoved into the face of the Fijians. Television came to the island. Suddenly, the girls of a rural coastal village were watching the girls of Melrose Place and Beverly Hills 90210, not to mention Seinfeld and ER. This is an image of Beverly Hills 90210 here, and this is Melrose Place. Both are sitcoms or TV shows that are pretty similar to some of the ones you watch today, only they were popular in 1995. They are something like Keeping Up with the Kardashians or Desperate Housewives. Within 38 months, the number of teens at risk for eating disorders more than doubled to 29%. The number of high school girls who vomited from weight control went up 5 times to 15%. Worse yet, 74% of the Fiji teens in the study said they felt too big or fat at least some of the time, and 62% said they had dieted in the past month. Ann Becker, an anthropologist and psychiatrist who directs research at the Harvard Eating Disorders Center, studied this before and after television portrait of a body image takeover. She presented her research at the American Psychiatric Association last week with all the usual caveats. No, you cannot prove a direct causal link between television and eating disorders. Heather Locklear, whose picture is pictured here, does not cause anorexia, nor does Tori Spelling, right here, cause bulimia. Both of these actresses are on the two shows that were shown in the previous slide, Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose Place. Fiji is not just a fat paradise lost. It's an economy in transition from subsistence agriculture to tourism, and its entry into the global economy has threatened many old values. Nevertheless, you don't get a much better lab experiment than this. In just 38 months, and with only one channel, a television-free culture that defined a fat person as robust has become a television culture that now sees robust as, well, repulsive. All that, and these islanders didn't even get Callista Flockhart and Ally McBeal. Just to point out, what they're basically saying is that on that one television channel, people couldn't actually access a show called Ally McBeal with this actress, Callista Flockhart, who has publicly struggled with anorexia. Quote unquote, going thin is no longer a social disease, but the perceived requirement for getting a good job, nice clothes, and fancy cars. As Becker said carefully, the acute and constant bombardment of certain images in the media are apparently quite influential in how teens experience their bodies. Speaking of Fiji teens in a way that seems all too familiar, she added, "We have a set of vulnerable teens consuming television. There's a huge disparity between what they see on television and what they look like themselves. That goes not only to clothing, hairstyles, and skin color, but size of bodies." I'm not surprised by research showing that eating disorders are a cultural byproduct. We've watched the female image shrink down to Callista Flockhart. At the same time, we've seen eating problems grow. But Hollywood hasn't been exactly eager to acknowledge the connection between image and illness. During the past few weeks since the Columbine High School massacre, we've broken through some denial about violence as a teaching tool. It's pretty clear that boys are literally learning how to hate and harm themselves. Maybe we ought to worry a little more about what girls learn to hate and harm themselves. Now that the reading's finished, you can go to your Google Drive, where you're going to access your gender and stereotypes reading. As you'll see here, I've added in the culture of thin bites below the other 3 readings. You'll notice that all of these readings have to do with self-esteem. The first 2 were about ads and self-esteem. The next one was about Barbie and body image and eating disorders, as is this one. This will help you in your final project if you choose to write about body image. Again, I will be taking a look at this Google Drive tomorrow, so please make sure you are thorough in your responses. Here are the requirements moving forward. Please read through them carefully so you know what is expected of you. Thanks.